Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hello.
Oh, yes, I can hear you now.
There you go. How's it
How are
going?
you? Pretty good.
Yeah, how's the fires?
They died down. The wind has calmed down, so it's on our side it's calmed down. But you still have some of the fires in LA, which is 2 hours away from us, but not as local here. So,
Oh, good. Good.
how
Perfect.
was your weekend?
Good. It was my husband's birthday yesterday, and so that was fun. So, other than that, nothing too special.
Good.
Just teaching yoga all weekend.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
good. Well,
hmm
Well, I wanted to take a few moments because I wanted to get your experience, more of the process that you've gone through. We're going to ask you just a few questions just to take a few moments. And I want to take it from the beginning, from where you decided, okay, like, what was going through your life where you said, I need to jump into this training, or whatever he has to offer. Like, what was going through your mind? Walk me through that aspect before you started implementing some of the work that you learned.
Sure. So I think for me, what I felt was after having the studio for 3 years and getting everything kind of evened out, like so settled in and felt like we found our groove and our people and understood our tribe, if you will. I decided it was time to now start looking at marketing and doing some other things. And I'd actually started looking at a couple of different places. There was a few different options out there for trainers, for yoga studio owners. But then I found your business tribe, and the free content that you were offering was so amazing that I knew that it was worth it for me to spend a few bucks and get the additional content. So that's where it all started.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes it goes either way, though. I want to let you know. It could have gone either way. Some people, there's two things that happen when you give out free content. One is that one, like yourself, you think, gee, if the information that is given for free is this good, can you imagine what's behind door number one, right? And then the other is, no, I'm so prideful that I'm so successful. I have a studio that's been around for 3 years. I got what I needed from this, and I'm going to take a step back. And so it
Yeah.
goes either way. So that was my mental state, is like, what was it for you that clicked, that said, yes, I need to really immerse myself in this,
Mhm.
before you started implementing some of the work that you've done already?
Well, I think I'm pretty good at understanding where my strengths and weaknesses are. And so I knew my strengths of creating a culture and a spirit of the space was something that I understood, and it is infused in everyone that's here in the studio. Both the teachers as well as the students all respond to what we're offering. And I knew I really needed to get it out to more people, because I really feel proud of what we offer, and I think we've got a different story. And I don't have the skill set especially in social media. I had been in marketing for years. I mean, I was in sales my whole life, right? So I know how to sell. I know how to provide a consultative space. So when I'm one-on-one with our students, I know how to help them match what they're looking for with the experience that is appropriate for them to find what they're looking for. But reaching out to more people was not where my skill set was, especially from a social media perspective. So when I started looking at some of the things you were offering, and you simplified it for me, right? So I don't want to learn to be a webmaster. I don't want to learn any of that stuff. I want to be as simple and clean and in and out as possible. And you gave us some templates and simplified it. And so I knew that there was more to offer, and that I could really I want to get my story out more, because I really feel like it's a great story of what we're doing, and I needed your help to do that. And so I'm just starting to do that now. So that was
Right.
what the push was.
Would you say that there was some of that fear before, to say, gosh, I don't want to keep learning the techy stuff or pushing buttons. I want to just learn things to keep me moving forward, but not so much of like the technical aspects and coding and things like that. That's usually what drives you away from marketing, right? It's like the story that we create in ourselves is that I can't really do that. But once you reverse it and you just simplify it, then it's fun again, right? You're engaging with your tribe, and it's fun because you can just talk to them, and not so much do the whole marketing aspect of it. That's good. So
Exactly.
what was
Yeah.
it that you learned that you just had your campaign? Walk me a little bit of what you implemented in your campaign and how that
Well,
turned out over the 3 days.
the very first thing was I had never really done much with the whole Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. I, for some reason, felt that wasn't for us. I don't know why, maybe because I'm not sitting in a downtown retail area. I'm a little more hidden. But then as you were starting to show us some of the things that we could do, it was like, well, of course I can. Why wouldn't I do that? You know, it makes more sense. Why wouldn't I drive business on these days when people are out looking to actively find a way to save on the things that they already love, and what they love is yoga too. So I had not done that in the past, really very minimally. So I really embraced it big time. And so the things that I implemented initially were really starting to advertise the fact that we were doing it, right? So I changed the Facebook, what is it called? The header on the Facebook page. I changed and added it to my website page. That was the first thing that you saw as it scrolled through, was that we were doing, you know, support your local business, and then started to list on the website all the things that we were doing, and then just started really promoting it through both those places, the social media with the website and with the Facebook page.
Okay, so you did a little bit of prep work right beforehand, because you had to go through some of the training and the modules. So walk me through that. Did that get you really confident? Were you thinking like, I'm going to roll the dice here and see what happens? Or was it something to say, okay, I'm ready because I prepared? How did you feel right before the launch?
I actually felt really confident because I had a clear understanding of what I was offering each day, and it was different each day. And I was very clear in the communication of it, which, you know, historically I might not have communicated it. You gave me the confidence to just really put it out there. And just make sure that it was the first thing that people were seeing whenever they checked in with anything of Spirit Rising. They were saying, okay, wow, there's stuff happening here, and it's time to jump in and get involved with it, because it's, you know, it's only going to be available for the next couple of days, and it's different each day. So without the confidence of knowing that I should just blast it everywhere, I didn't do that in the past. I was very, you know, very soft in those touches in the past, and now I sent it face forward and just put it right out there.
Yeah, it's funny that you say confidence, because sometimes you feel that you just invested into something to improve the marketing of your studio, but yet you're finding other components that you're tapping into besides just the marketing aspect, to now confidence to say, I don't feel so salesy because I know I'm congruent. Like, my intention with my offer is to get them in so they can continue to try our, you know, yoga or what we have to offer. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a mindset shift for you where it doesn't become something like that you feel yucky. You feel confident, and you're very clear in your messaging as well. So what was the result of you being clear with your messaging? Like, how did that transition over the course? What was the end result? I mean, we talk about growing a yoga studio, and some actually in your position feel that asking for money feels yucky, yet we all need it for growth, right? Growth for the transitions that we want to do. What was the end result for you in dollars wise when you everything was said and done? What was the end result for you?
Well, the interesting thing, just to kind of back up a little bit, I have no problem. I never feel yucky asking for money. I think that we have a service that's valuable. So unlike a lot of people, having been in sales my whole life, I don't have an issue, because I think I really, I just don't. There's a service that we offer, and it's a valuable service, and we earn what we get for that service. But what I was really, really excited about is we actually did an entire month of business in one weekend. Yeah. Okay. So that was big time. It was a combination of all things, of 1-year memberships, of retail, of packages. So I was really, really surprised at how many people jumped in on the things that we were offering. We did over $10,000 in one weekend, which for our studio is a really, really good weekend.
That's great. And then as far as I know you implemented some of the strategies for converting to memberships, like yearly paid memberships. Uh, Walk me through that process, because that's not just going to be a one-time $90,
Right.
$75 sale. That's reoccurring. So that $10,000 actually could be 30,000, could be 15,000 over the life of those memberships as well.
Right. So that's where we're at now. So the focus now is on memberships and on building that annual, that water, right? That stuff that's coming in no matter what I do every month, rather than the fire that just kind of spikes in, which the weekend was fire, right? So that was cool. But now I need to build the water side of it. So the 30 for 30 is starting to take hold. I'm in the process now of our first member coming up to, I believe it's their 2-week point of 30 for 30. Interestingly enough, she already took the next step, as you always talk about the steps from the membership, then to maybe workshops, then to et cetera, et cetera. She did the first step. She did a workshop this weekend, and she just absolutely loved it. And I've already sent her the information on the what she can do if she signs up before her membership ends. She's looking now to decide which of those packages, which way she wants to go for the membership. And she hasn't made a full commitment yet, but I feel strongly that she will. And then I also used your strategy. I had a 2-month fall membership where you get 2 months for a special rate. I have 2 people that are just finishing that up. They are going to sign up for the 12-month membership. And I actually, one of them that looks like they want to do teacher training. So, you know, I'm really doing the work to stay involved in communicating with the people that are new and following them through the process so that I can coach them through the process and making sure that they're finding what they're looking for here at the studio.
Yeah. And
so yeah, the members are starting it to happen. So the membership is starting to build, and then we're seeing that transition from just yoga classes to then coming into doing more of the things that we offer.
Yeah, the conversion.
Yeah, the conversion.
And, yeah. Good. You just said something. You just said that doing the work to build a relationship.
Yeah.
And for me, those are 2 things that, if you hear me in the group, is you have to do the work and you have to build relationships. Because of the state of where we are with our industry, is I always talk about the old way of marketing, which is now the mainstream, which is the yoga poses and the quotes and things like that,
right,
versus building relationships and building your tribe and actually building a real business, right, based on relationships. So I think just those 2 things that you just said, without you, I'm paying attention to what you're saying, and you know, building relationships, like, okay, you get it, it clicks, because it's that important. You're giving me the fruits of your labor by saying I did the work and I'm building relationships, and this is what it's come to. Now that you
just to pull on that a little bit, I think, you know, it's interesting because I think we were good at building relationships, but what we weren't doing is staying in that communication of walking them through the steps, right? So I think they loved us and they loved what we were offering, but to take the next step of emailing them, of calling them, of talking to them about moving through the process and what do they do once their membership, you know, once their intro offer is over. I think we were, excuse me, I think we were just assuming that they would sign up, right? Because we had a good relationship, but it's like, you know, any sale, you've got to ask for the close, right? You've got to work them through that and take them to the next step. And that made a big difference too.
That's good. So when it comes to going through the steps, now that you have clarity inside of it, it's amazing the amount of revenue, the amount of people that go through the doors now, because all it took was for you to recommend it or just put the offer in front of them, not just throwing stuff at them, in a way where they're ready, right? And it's a combination of timing and then also knowing where they are in their journey. And once you put those 2 together, it's game over from there. You really just solve the piece of the puzzle. But then the third component is you have to make an offer, right? You can't just put it there and assume that they know what to do next. And I think that's the thing that we assume, and that's like in any relationship. Like if you have a spouse, you can't assume that they know, or you know, what they need to be doing next, or you have children that they know what they're expected to be done. Sometimes you have to communicate. It's like in our human nature, but yet we have that this connection with our own members, that it's a human interaction. And once you do that, you start seeing them evolve in their practice, all because of just one suggestion, one email, one phone call in the right direction.
Well, and I think that was the missing piece. I think that sequentially, you know, again, we were really close to them when they were here in the studio, but I think the emails and the communication outside of them being in the studio walked them through the process, and that was the missing link that I didn't have before, and I think that's what's making the change too. That I feel really excited about moving forward. I feel like that's really going to be what propels us forward.
Yes, and I have your page up. Can you see the screen on here with your Facebook page?
Well, I'm looking at my Facebook page. Yeah, I was thinking it was my screen up, but yeah, I see it.
Okay. Well, with you're leading by example. You have your core offer right in front by 30 days for $30. What was your studio doing before with the intro offers? So walk me through what life was like before this.
Well, it's interesting when I went back and looked, it was funny that you say that, because we used to do first week for $20, right? Unlimited week. And you're right, 1 week is not enough to create a relationship. They're not getting in here enough to create a relationship. So the 30 days is so much better than the 1 week, because those, when I look at those transitions, they weren't great, right? They just really weren't. But I feel like this one is going to make a huge difference, because it's, you know, we need that time. We need them to be able to experience different classes and different teachers. And sometimes they can't get in very often in that first week. So this gives us the time to nurture the relationship. So definitely a huge improvement over that.
Nice. I think most of them get stuck in the scarcity mindset that they're going to, use up the space too much, where they're going to, like, it's just not going to work out and everything's going to fall apart. But if you start pulling the reports in their attendance, you start noticing that really it doesn't make a difference. It's no different than if you would have just offered the week or the 30 days. Sometimes they'll make it 3 times in a month or twice. Not all of them will take the opportunity to go every single day, or 20 out of the 30 days. You start noticing that it just gives you a little bit more time to build that relationship and have those touching points to encourage them, rather than just trying to do it all in 1 week. But I mean, have you found, now that you're offering this, that they're using up the space more? What has changed with?
Oh, it's fantastic. Like this first gal that did it, in the first 2 weeks, she did 10 classes, right? Which is fantastic, because then she has the opportunity to make sure, we talk about, we have a variety of classes so that you can find the ones that are right for you. You don't want them just going into one class and going, well, that's it. I don't like that class or that teacher. So this way they have freedom, because there is scarcity when they buy class packages, right? They hoard them. They're afraid to use them. And when they have the unlimited, then they'll try and test until they find what's right for them. And so, yeah, I'm finding that they are definitely using the studio, and we've got the space for them. I'm not worried about, having too many people in the space. That's not an issue for us. So, yeah, the more the merrier. Let's bring them all in as much as possible. I'm not worried about paying teachers because I've got somebody on an intro membership, because I'd rather pay them and get these people in, because I know that the more they're here, the more opportunity we're going to be able to keep them here.
Good. Yeah, that then leads into your retention. So as far as the marketing aspect, I know we talk a little bit about marketing, and you have to do. You're using Canva, right? Like, yes, to design your artwork. What is it like now that you can just get on there and design stuff? I know sometimes the people have a roadblock with, well, I'm leading a studio, so I have to do the sales and I have to do the marketing, and then there's funnels. Sometimes all of these topics that I'm throwing at them, it sounds too overwhelming. How do you can, like, put that in the funnel and, like, outcomes, productivity? Yeah. Like, walk me through that. Because,
well, it's interesting because Canva is so much quicker than the other stuff. Like, Canva is just easy and quick and clean, and especially because the templates are already there. So how many times in the past have I tried to throw something on Facebook, but it wasn't the right size? So I had to look for 67 ways of sizing it correctly. So that makes that part so much more streamlined and easy. And I do all of it myself. So I'm like, I am a one-stop shop here for this stuff as a studio owner. So what I'm doing is like, today is my day. I just finished teaching 2 classes, and now I'm here for as long as it takes for me to get through all the things I need to do today. So I'm blocking time in my schedule, whereas before it was kind of more haphazard, but I've chosen to really schedule the time that I'm doing this kind of work. And it's easier, it's quicker. I get through it a lot faster. And so, you know, the Canvas stuff is working. I'm still learning ClickFunnels. I've only done the one ClickFunnels. So you and I, you know, we need to talk a little bit more about how I actually use that efficiently and better, because I do really feel like that is something that will have value for me once I understand the best way to use it. Yeah, and just then starting to be really clean and clear in whatever marketing or Facebook ads that I'm doing, so that there is that funnel process, that they're moving through the stages till I get them all the way down through the funnel. So blocking the time is what I've committed to. When I committed to doing masterclass, I committed to blocking out the time to make sure that I'm doing the work that I need to do. Because it wasn't that expensive to do masterclass, but it's like this opportunity is here for me to take and to use. And I want to suck as much out of it as I can, and use what works, right? Like I don't have, my ego is not so much that I think I know it all. Like I have a lot I can learn from other people. So I dig learning that. So.
Good, and I tell this to the group is give me 100% and I'll give you 300. So even though that we've gone this far, there's still months and months of training for me to go into you, because we've talked a lot about marketing, but I feel like there's still some aspects regarding running, like operations side, that we'll be diving into. There's so much that I want to cover, but right now it's just like you said, just taking the information you have right now concisely to say, okay, now I have my foundation set up correctly, my offers, my ads are firing off well. Now let's scale a little bit more. How do we get engaged with our teachers, and what do we need to do in the community? How do we grow our expansion, our reach to the community? How do we do that in a space where now we have all of our marketing done for us? Now, speaking of Facebook ads, how has that changed for you now that you have a little bit more confidence with where to go or what you're seeing, or how the philosophy behind running a campaign has more to do with the communication that you're having with someone else, not so much like pushing a button with Facebook ads, because anybody can teach you to push a button, but the ad is really put together in the way that the end viewer receives it. So like when you're creating your ad, how has that changed for you now that you've run a couple more campaigns?
Well, it's interesting. Before it was kind of like you'd throw an ad out there and it just kind of floated out into the wind, and you'd see these reports from Facebook saying, oh, you've had this much activity and engagement, but nothing happened. Like I got nothing from it. I got no calls. I got no traction. Right. So it's like, well, that's great that 67 people have clicked on or whatever, but where are they? Right. So nothing was happening. So still working on getting our targeting right. So you and I have still been working on that, because we're not honed in as with everything that we can do to make sure that I'm targeting the right people, but creating the ad in a way that shows timeline and scarcity, which are the two things that you always talk about, right? Like, so it gives them an urgency to act, which I didn't have that in the past. It would just be like a pretty picture and whatever. So now there's content that creates that urgency and that call to action that I wasn't doing before. And then connecting it into ClickFunnels is going to give me the opportunity then to see exactly what's happening, right? Instead of just, I know there were 47 random people that clicked on, but I'll never see them again and I don't know who they are. So this way, you're helping me not only that, but go back maybe and see who those people were in the past that had reacted. So that's one of the things that you're teaching me as well, is how do I go back to the previous people that reacted and reach out to them again. So that's kind of some of our next steps that you and I are doing. But those are things I didn't realize I could do before. I didn't realize the level I could target before. So that was huge, the things that you've shown us from that perspective of targeting and getting to the right people.
Yeah, and it's all the same thing. It's just going back and having a conversation with them. It seems like it's a one-on-one conversation when you retarget someone on Facebook. It's just as easy as someone going to your offer. Let's say right now, try 30 days for $30. they landed on there, you could see that someone landed on there. But
Right.
Facebook gives you the opportunity to go back and say, hey, I noticed you looked at my offer, but you didn't visit the checkout page, or for some reason you have to run off to a class, you have to go to work, and then you can still take advantage of this offer while it's still available. Again, you don't have to say it's going to end today and this weekend. You could say while it's still available, because truth is you could take it out. We don't know when, but the call to action and the urgency is, before I take this offer down. So there's a lot of conversations that you could have. The same thing could happen if someone visits your yoga teacher training page and they don't sign up, but they visit it. And you can go back and talk about following their passion and having that conversation with them again. But it feels like you and I are connected, just like we're having right now. It's so easy to retarget them and have a communication afterwards. So that's good. Tell me now that you're in masterclass and you're implementing this and you're doing this, what could you say to someone? Because they could be in any part of the country or the world, and they are in their business and they are still not receptive to the concept about investing in yourself. I always say this, it's more to the fact of if you're going to ask for someone to invest in your yoga studio, you should invest in yourself first. Because I see that it's for me when I started, and the concept of hiring people and doing those things, I had to come to a realization that I had to, it's love yourself first, so then you can get back to others, right? And in the investment that you're making, not just forget the money, the time that you're putting in. What could you say to someone that is on the fence? They're I know I know that this is the solution to drive traffic, convert, live an abundant life, but I just don't know about paying, or I don't know if I can come up with the money, because we all know if we really want something, we'll make it happen. I bring this example. There's so many YTTs that go through our program that the day of the program, they'll come up with the $3,000.
Right.
They'll make it happen somehow, and you're you have no job, and I don't even know, but you're committed, right? They block the time, they make it happen. And when someone has a yoga studio, and sometimes it goes like this, and then along comes the solution, right? But there comes some work, because you can't just learn everything and it's gonna happen. Like you said, you have to do the work. What would you say to them now, where you are now? That's someone that's on the fence thinking about investing in growth.
I think first off, the investment is for most, shouldn't say for most people, but it's not so extreme that it's not doable, right? And so there was one actually that I was looking at that was $400 and some a month with a 12-month commitment, and that was that's a lot. That's a big chunk. So what you're offering is so much content for a reasonable amount of money. And even if you scaled it, let's say you did the $1,000 version of something, right? Did an investment with you for $1,000. If you scale it out, think about it. If you gain two new, just one time, 2 new 12-month clients, right? It's not even 2 each month. You do it 2 one time, and you take that number out to how much they're going to spend over a year. You've already paid for it with just 2 new clients, right? Yeah. So the return on the investment is so doable, right? Because you're going to get clearly more than 2 new clients when you
right.
go through the process and use the work, right? So, if you break it down $1,000 over a year, right? If you're using a $99 membership or a $79 membership, then you're making your money back really pretty quickly. So that's my feeling about it. It's not such a large number that you can't see it scale out over time pretty quickly and return its investment, right? So for me, Black Friday, right, that alone paid me back for the investment that I made, which is because I hadn't done that kind of work before. So it's content that is good quality content. It's not fluff. It's not the stuff, that you you hear all the time. It's like you said, what you hooked me with is when you said Instagram and quotes are not marketing, because I've always been completely turned off by that idea of I'm marketing because look at me, right? Like this whole, you know, kind of egocentric marketing space. When you said that, that was probably the hook for me, because you and I were thinking along the same lines, and I knew that you were kind of going to offer the things that made sense for me.
Yeah, my values are congruent with what you believe
right.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think those are receptive to saying, yes, I don't have to have the physical body and put myself out there to call it marketing, because that's not really who I want to attract. I have a tribe, and I want to learn how to communicate to them, get my message out to them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with pictures. It could be through other forms of communications.
Right.
And through that, you started learning. That's good, because the thing is with you're right, with an investment like 1 or 2 reoccurring memberships that pays for the whole thing, it's like once you make your investment back, it's like the rest is free. Like,
it's all gravy after that. Yeah.
It's like, to you, you're like, man, this is like, I'm getting it for free now because I already made my money back and some, and there's even more to come. So it's just like, it's exciting to know that it's like, that's it. You did it one time and now it continues, just like your marketing. It's like the concept is the same. You invest one time with your email campaigns, or you find a winning offer or a 30 for 30, and then you don't have to touch it. Right? You do something once, it works, and then you test. And that's the other thing, is that testing is part of this formula. Sometimes you test something, and majority of the time, everything's being spot on. But there are some things where your image may need to change. Or you say, you know, I need to test this logo, and this logo doesn't really look right. So there is going to be some testing and some changes along the way as you're making the perfect model for your studio.
Exactly. And I think for me, as I didn't want to I knew I needed to spend more time on the business versus in it, because I'm really good at being in my business. But I didn't want to spend so much time that I was back in my corporate career, right? Like, I did this for a reason. I did this change, this huge lifestyle change, for a reason, and it was for quality of life. And I feel like the things that you've offered are a way for me to do the things I need to do on the business, to grow the business, but they're going to allow me the freedom that I also want, because they're clean, they're concise. We can kind of, like you said, we can kind of get the formula down and then re-implement it all the time. I don't have to recreate the wheel every single time I need to do something. And that's important for me, because, you know, if I wanted to work like that, I'd be back making a lot more money in what I used to do for a living. So
yeah, and that's good. Getting also out of that's the other thing that we find within this industry is, you know, I say, you know, Zen doesn't pay the bills, because we can manifest a big following, a big tribe, and then it just there's been a disconnection in this industry where they call it the business of yoga. Like it's like the business of Christianity, or the business, you know, it's like there's a separation where it's like, no, you have a yoga business. That's why I called it Yoga Business Tribe, because I wanted to marry those together and say, you need to start seeing it for what it is and running it like it should be. So like, once you're starting to make these connections, like, how do you feel about your future? Like, now that you're ready to, well, you're not ready to, you are doing the work, but where does that put you now as far as the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I'm really relaxed, right? I don't have a fear of, you know, I don't have a fear of the future. I know that I'm putting everything's coming together, right? So building the brand was first, getting that, especially I bought an existing studio. So that transition of old owner to new owner and all the things that go with that, which is, you know, it's a pretty messy business, to that switch and finding your own people in your own groove. Once all that came through, then it's putting all the other things in place so that I feel like I'm really relaxed about my future. I'm not, you know, a lot of people are concerned about the future of the yoga industry and all the studios that are opening and all the teachers that we're training. I don't care about that. Like, I'll train teachers and I hope they do go work. I hope that, I don't care if they open studios, please do. I think once you feel really confident in your own space, there's no scarcity, there's enough, right? Unless I'm trying to be something I shouldn't be or trying to be someone else, if I stay really true to who we are and I don't want to be all things to all people. I'm not going to do Pilates or booty or any that. Those don't fit with who we are. I'm going to stay really pure to my traditional yoga values, and just stay focused on the people that are part of our tribe. There's no reason to fear the future, right? Because I know who we are and where we're going, and then the tools that I have to take us there.
Yeah, and that's the scarcity that's coming into a lot of the studio owners, especially going into next year. Is I call it an industry standard where you have teachers that come in and some of them have their agenda where they you hear this a lot now where the teacher goes and starts their own studio, and
right.
So too you can't be mad at them for having a dream, because they all do in some way of doing something, right? The way that they handle it may not be correct, and some people don't agree how they transition out, but the reality is that it's here. That's everyone for the most part at some level is going to want to aspire to have their own space, to have their own communities, because they want to spread love and light. But at the end of the day, we're in business, and business is messy, right? So now that we're going into 2018, that's going to just double the amount of studios, the amount of teachers coming out of teacher training, because of the model that's been built of that, they're going to want to do the next logical thing, which is, teacher training once they're at that level. Mm-hmm. For someone that is in a community that is starting to see that trend, how important is it for them to jump into it, like their business and their training, to solidify what they're doing, so when another studio or another teacher happens, it doesn't shake their frame. Like right now, I can feel you that your feet are planted, and it doesn't matter if a corporate yoga studio moves down the street. You're going to say, you know what, masterclass, I am solid with all my offers, everything. No one's going to leave. Even if they do, I have a plan. Yeah. I have a plan to keep growing and retain my tribe. So what would you say to them, to someone that's just, they're seeing all of these changes, but they're not being receptive to it, or they're not waking up to it?
Yeah.
So right now,
I think it's a combination of the two. First, you really have to know who you are and what you're bringing and what you want to offer. So you have to be really clear on that. And then you've got to use all the tools to get that message out, right? So just because I know who we are and what we want to offer, I can't assume that the world knows it. So Masterclass gives me the tools to get that message out, whereas I was relying on word of mouth, which worked great, right? And other students. But there's so many more people that need this experience, right? There's so many more people out there who are not coming in and practicing and getting what we offer. So I just need to get that message out there, and I know they're there. And so now that we're really clear on who we are and what our message is, getting it out there, I'm not worried, because no one else can be me, right? So no one else can have the culture that we've created here, and they'll have their own culture and attract their own people. Right? There's a lot of people out there. Think about how many hair salons there are. Think about how many Subway shops there are. Think about how many chiropractors there are, right? Clearly there's enough, right? There are not as many yoga studios as there are those places. So I'm not worried about them popping up. That we'll get our people, they'll get their people, and that's cool. It's all good, because you have to be confident in what you're doing, and then you've got to make sure that you're getting that message out. And that's what you brought to me, is getting that message out to more people. So that adds to the confidence there as well.
And it's good, because another studio could set up and look at your page and say, okay, they're doing a 30 for 30. We're going to do a 30 for 30. And then they can just keep going down the road. But at the end of the day, they can't copy your culture, what you've created.
And we do have, there's another person that is part of the program that's in my town that does, and she's doing 30 for 30. We're completely different studios, right? It doesn't matter to me, and I assume it doesn't matter to her, because we're as night and day in what we offer, because we're attracting different people. So it doesn't matter.
And it comes down to the culture. Like the message and the training is still the same. It makes sense to build a relationship within 30 days, but my culture is different. So I don't find it that it's a competition, because at the end of the day, they can't duplicate it.
Right.
They can't. Yeah. So that's usually what we're seeing now. Even some people that are in the group, they're saying, well, there's a competitor down the street. And I said, well, I can't block this. Like, I have a purpose to, and it's my duty to keep growing, to invest into, yoga studio owners, because I know that there's a need, but I can't block that information from everyone. So the only ones that are going to succeed are the ones that are doing the work, right? So it's like,
well, that's exactly like you said. Even though you might have competitors sign up, we're not all going to implement it the same way at the same level. So, that's the other issue. It comes down to what we choose to actually take from it, and implement.
Yes. So that's good. So you're doing the work now, and you've kind of gone through the transition. What are you looking forward to now that you're in the program? Just wanted to close this out. Like, what are you looking forward in the program, your community, now that you're in here? You've kind of shared a little bit of what you would tell someone who's on the borderline, but kind of to bring this all together, what are you looking to do with your community now that you've kind of gotten a control of a few things? What's the vision of Spirit Rising going forward into 2018?
Yeah, so the first thing is to really implement the membership program, because I have a goal of what I want that membership to look like that is going to just give me complete freedom and ease. And I know it's an attainable goal. And working with you, I know we're going to get that membership where I want it to be. So the water, as I called it, the water money just comes in. From there, then I want to be able to have more time to get Spirit Rising out into the community. I want to be able to do more giving back, right? More getting out into the community. And I'm really excited too, because I'm really looking at doing some kind of big international retreats down the road. So this is going to free me up to do some of the things, that I want to do, to travel and take our students out and give them immersion in beautiful places, so that they can really, really feel what it feels like to spend, time in the practice. So those are the next steps for us.
Great, and that makes me happy. As you know, I have some international retreats that I've done. And I have some sales funnels in there. So you'll be getting some more training on international retreats, how to set them up, how to find them, pricing, contracts. There's a whole section that really doesn't pertain so much into the marketing aspect, but it is into not even thinking. You can just plug in and say, okay, I have a contract. I know where to find my spots, what my profit margins are, how to market it. I mean, all of that will be into masterclass as well. So again, it'll be something that you don't have to think about. You can just, put it into practice and start doing that. So I'll be happy to see.
Perfect, because that would have been intimidating, right? I know I've been kind of wanting to do it, knowing that I've got all that information that you're going to support us with. That takes the intimidation factor out of it. I know I can do it in a way that feels safe and doable. And so, yeah, I'm excited. That's where we're headed next.
Good. You'll be able to travel. What's the country that you want to go to?
Well, I have two calling me. One is Ireland. There's something happening energetically that I feel like Ireland is where I need to go. And the other is someplace warm with a beach, because I'm always into warm with a beach. So maybe Costa Rica or someplace like that. Seems to be kind of the standard is Costa Rica, but you could do Bahamas. But I don't know. I've got to sit with it and decide which one calls first. But Ireland is kind of back there.
Could be the first one, or 2 in 1 year if you have everything set up reoccurring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm down with that.
That's good, because that's part of the process. If that person that you were just referring to, they went to the trial, now they've done the workshop. Maybe after that, it'll be time for them to join you in a retreat.
Yeah, I
And
tested a retreat, a local retreat last year in June. I had never done one before. Excuse me, it was a few hours away and I sold it out. So it was like, okay, yeah, I got that worked. So now, and I said to them, what do you think about going somewhere? And they're like, absolutely, just give us time to plan and save money. So they're already, looking forward to it. So I've already got some of the tribe ready to go. I just have to implement and make the choice as to where the first one is.
perfect. Then we'll have to connect, and I'll be loading a lot of that training inside masterclass for you, and we'll make it a reality. Possibly, who knows? Maybe before the year ends. During this call, it's still early in December, where you can get everything that you need to start already heading in that direction. We give them enough time, right, for them to set up payment plans, to go through that whole process. So that's exciting. Right. That's probably our next. It'd be nice to see not just you launch the retreat, but actually there at that place in Ireland.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I got to do I have a little work to do to get caught up. I went away for a few days. So today's the day I've got to go back and just make sure I get all the work done so that I am not behind. So.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking this time to share with others, right, your experience. What is the one thing, if you could just leave this whole thing and tie a little bow around it, with someone that's on the fence, like what is that one thing that you could give them advice on? Doesn't matter if they're brand new or they have 3 yoga studios and they think they're really successful. What is that one piece of advice that you could give them?
Well, I think the biggest advice is just do it. I mean, it's great content, and the other thing is you're always available. Like, I can text you at 11 o'clock at night and I'll get on Zoom with you and fix whatever's happening right now. So, you're there, you're supportive, this isn't just talk for you. Your heart is in this and you want us to succeed. And if we, work with you and tell you what we need and we work together, you're going to succeed, right? So, because it's not as if one and done. You're not saying, well, I'm sorry, your time is up. You're available to us. And that's huge. That's really builds the confidence that I know I'm not hanging out there alone with something. If something bubbles up, like I had trouble with something one night that the link wasn't working, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, you immediately got on Zoom and corrected it in like 2 minutes. It was, 11:30 at night at my time. And, so you're there, you're the real deal. And I really appreciate you. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I really put my heart into this because I've been there. I've been there to the trenches, and I know there was a voice inside of me that when everything that I was doing, I was talking to my wife, and I see these articles of just like yoga studios that were going out of business, and they didn't really know the cash flow or their tribe, or another studio came in and they didn't have a solid foundation. I just kept seeing all these things, and I'm like, we need yoga. We can't, I mean, we have 3 studios, but it's like, you can't have it all, right? The message needs to spread, but how can everyone have that experience where they're not closing down and they follow this dream through yoga teacher training? They want to make it a career, and then they soon find out that there's really not a whole lot available, and it's like gimmicky. I call it Mickey Mouse yoga business training, where it's like, how to get 50 likes on Instagram and things like that. And like you said, you see that and you're like, okay, yeah, I see some interaction, but where's the money, right? Like, how do I grow my community? I can't travel without money, so I need to figure this, stuff out first. So my heart is in it. My heart's very much in it. It's 100, 200, 300% in it, because, it's like results like you, where you say, yes, I'm doing it. I feel confident. Like for me now, like all I want to do is just get on the phone for like the next 2 hours and go through your whole Ireland, yoga retreat. And then for you to like take a picture and be like, I'm here, those for me, that just like, that like makes my day. It melts me, because it's just like the giving part of it. The last thing I'll leave you with is like the knowledge that I know I can't take it with me when I die. And that's why I have this huge calling to pass it forward, because I know that because of so much that I've been through as an orphan, I know that I can't take it with me. So for me, it's just like give. And it's not just give. It's like when the greatest compliments, like right now when you do the work, like you kept telling me, I'm doing the work, and then you start seeing those small wins. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the payoff. You know, that's the
Right.
payoff. The payoff is going to be you in Ireland saying, I'm here and I got my whole tribe with me. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's great. It's going to happen, by the way. I'm not kidding.
I know.
It's going to happen
Yep.
a lot sooner than later. So
Yeah, I
thank you
agree.
so
I
much for
think so
taking
too.
this. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time.
Mhm.
And anything else before I close it out? I want to leave you
Yeah,
on
I
with your
just think
day.
that, this is affordable, right, guys? Like, do this. It's affordable, it's real, it's content that's usable. You'll make your money back, and you'll be cared for in the process. So yeah, jump in.
Sounds good. Thank you
Cool.
so much. We
Peace
will
out.
see you probably this week. We'll see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, take care.
Okay, you too.
Bye now.